Whoa, whoa. Welcome to the NFL show on the Sauter on Sports Podcast Network. I'm Mark Sauter. That is Java Joe. Good to be back. Round 2, divisional previews. This time the AFC NFC South live on YouTube, on X, and Instagram today. Trying it out. I have no idea what I'm doing. This kind of stuff does not come naturally to me. Would much rather just pay someone to do it for me. Seems simple enough, and I think it's working. But I thought that when we went live 2 minutes ago, and it wasn't working. So I don't know. Maybe no one can even hear me right now, for all I know. Who knows? But either way, if you can hear me, welcome to the show. It is good to be here. Good to be back. We're on Spotify as well. Like, follow, whatever these platforms ask you to do it for us, please, and thank you. Before we move on with the show, introduce Java Joe. Let everybody know the show is brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Promo code SPORTS10 for 10% off your order, both sale and regular price item. Football, basketball, hockey, baseball, wrestling, F1, boxing, you name it, they got it. FirstRoundCollectibles.com, promo code SPORTS10 for 10% off your order. And Total Apex Sports Football, as you know, since you're here, right around the corner. Baseball heading towards the postseason. Hockey right around the corner. Basketball not too far behind. Anything you need to know, whether it's sporting news, whether it's daily fantasy, betting, normal fantasy, whatever it is, they have you covered. TotalApexSports.com. Joe, what's going on, man? Good to see you. How are we feeling on a Wednesday?
Feeling pretty good. Got a little taste of some football. Granted, there might have been some future insurance salesmen out there playing football, but still, I'll take it. I'll take it over not having football. All right, so we're doing pretty good. Did my homework, diving into some teams, and yeah, I'm ready to rock, man. Ready to rock.
So before we get started, the question I want to ask you is, during your studying, during your prep, how much of your prep involved also having Wreck-It Ralph, um, The Wiggles, and what was that last movie they watched? Winona,
Hmm.
Moana. I don't
Moana.
even know. Moana. See, I don't even know. How much of your prep involved having to listen to football content, read football content, and digest 3 different kids programs?
Well, while I don't have that backgrounds that you almost certainly have, I will say this. After the success that we had last season as far as the prospects go, there's going to be a lot of what can I say except you're welcome this season. That's how good I'm feeling about our homework.
Absolutely love it. All right, enough nonsense. Let's just dive right in, starting with the Houston Texans. 12-5 last season, eliminated in the divisional round for the 3rd straight season. Every season that CJ Stroud has been in the NFL, if my math serves correctly. Over under is 9.5, minus 145 for the over, plus 120 for the under. Super Bowl plus 2,000, which I was kind of shocked by. I thought it would be shorter than that. I don't know how much shorter, but I thought plus 2,000 was a bit long. Plus 900 to win the AFC. Plus 900 as well to get the 1 seed. Plus 120 to win the division. And just for fun, plus 375 to lose in the divisional round again. Just for fun. So to me, wherever you're watching, you're reading, you're listening, it seems pretty straightforward to me, Joe. The defense is really, really good. potentially a top 3 defense. Again, it was very good last year. And it is poised to yet again be very good. Um, and CJ Stroud, no one knows if this guy is actually good or not. That
Mm.
seems to be the that seems to be the storylines for this team.
Yeah.
Of course, the Tank Dell, he's back, he's playing, he's or at least practicing. He looks to be. That was a brutal, brutal, brutal injury. How Tank Dell like can he possibly be? Um, I mean, adding David Montgomery, I love that move. Um, I think Collins is one of the more underrated receivers in the NFL. Um, it's not that he doesn't have weapons, um, but that seems to be the two topics at hand here. Really good defense, potentially best in the league, and is CJ Stroud good at football? What say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think regular season you're not too worried about him. I think he's been consistently getting the team into the postseason doesn't seem to be the problem. I think where the problem starts is when the postseason starts.
Yeah.
So the thing with him is basically trying to get over that hump, and I think this is going to be an important season for at least the perception of CJ Stroud. Another strong regular season followed by a playoff disappointment will definitely raise questions as to whether they've peaked as far as that position is concerned. I think what I like is that the roster's overall strong. They have legitimate playoff expectations. Like you said, I think this is going to be a top 5 defense yet again. They got a guy like Reed Blankenship coming in at the back end of that
Yep.
secondary, which is a secondary that was already good with Kwame Lassiter, Derek Stingley Jr. Like they have studs on that defense, 2 pass rushers that can easily get to the quarterback. The defense alone should get them into the postseason. The division they're in should get them into the postseason. But the question with the Texans, I think at this stage of their project, and I think you could say they have the most stability of any team in this division as well. With Jacksonville in the infancy of their infrastructure, Titans same infancy of their infrastructure, and the Colts still hoping that they've solved their quarterback issue. This is the most top to bottom stable organization as far as the teams in their division. So they should get into the postseason. It's when they get there that everyone's wondering about.
Yeah, and a little update from earlier. So as I said, not good with this stuff at all. Thought we were live on the 3 platforms that I said, and I didn't actually hit. I have to hit go live on Instagram itself, not just the streaming
Mm.
platform that we use. So now Instagram is jumping in halfway through. And that's just you live and you learn, Joe. That's really all that.
Learning on the fly. Hey,
I
it's
don't, I
preseason for
don't
us
know.
too, guys. It's
That's right.
preseason for us too.
And if anybody that is a professional wants to work for free, you just let me know. And I would greatly appreciate it. Um, yeah, I mean, like for me, it is. I really like the addition of David Montgomery a lot. I think that O line is questionable at best. I don't think it's necessarily strong. It's not awful. I don't think it's necessarily strong, but David Montgomery is the type of player, and what I think really speaks to how much he could potentially mean to this team is the fact that with Gibbs back there for the Lions, they use Montgomery a lot. Like it was tough for me in any sort of fantasy or betting fashion putting
Mm.
any stock in Gibbs because I didn't know which which game they every time they were in the red zone, they were just going to give the ball to Montgomery, and he was
Yeah.
going to score, 2 touchdowns in the first half. So the fact that now he's basically the guy, right? Unless I'm missing something, he's the guy there now. Um, where he was split duties before, so that could be a concern, I suppose. But I personally really like uh that move. And like I said, man, like Tank Dell, to me, Collins, you know what you're gonna get. Tank Dell is just the ultimate question mark. Like when that guy's healthy, he's unbelievable.
Agreed.
Can can that was a brutal injury, man. Like how much
Again
uh
with him too.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
hurts.
absolutely great point. So how Tank Dell is he actually gonna be? That's a huge um question. Like you said, with the D line, um, or with the defense rather, I'm not the defense whisperer by any means. To me, I don't see any real weakness. Strong D line, strong secondary. Adding Petrie was huge, as you said. Blankenship as well. As an Eagles fan, very sad to see him go.
Mm.
Um, just a really fun player to root for. Like, forget even the X's and O's of it all. I just really liked watching that guy play football. And so that sucks. Um, yeah, here we go. Jordan. Mark, the Texans are being held by a quarterback that's regressing faster than moldy flapjacks. Um, I don't
Jeez.
I don't even fully understand that reference, but I I think I can get the idea. Um, I think that has to be the real question here. And if am I wrong? I believe I'm right in this. This is a contract year for Stroud. No, they picked up his option, right? Or is he signed?
I believe he's in extension territory. So meaning they're in the window where like, okay, we need to know if he's the dude or not.
Yeah.
Territory. Yeah. So
And so
whether it's
to
a year from now or not, they're in the territory where they need to figure it out.
and it's kind of a scary place to be, like if you're the Texans, because I think you have a a team that perennially perennial uh makes it to the divisional round, right? That's pretty impressive. A lot of teams don't do that. And just replacing a quarterback might be one of the harder things to do in professional sports,
Yeah.
right? Like, just all we need is a new quarterback. I don't know who's going to
Oh
be
yeah?
available.
No
Maybe,
kidding.
maybe what? Like Baker Mayfield is available if things don't go well with the Bucks.
Ooh.
You're going to put Baker,
Imagine.
Well, but I mean,
Oh,
how much obviously it would be different, but it's not like you're all of a sudden like now we're a contender. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
like you really need Stroud to continue to evolve and continue to be the guy. And what made that rookie season for him so impressive was the fact that the Texans weren't really supposed to be that good. And they they are supposed to be good now. Um, anything left for you to add before we move on to the schedule?
No, I'm ready to rock with the schedule. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So last week, I don't even remember what I did last season. But last week, I did the schedule all out before even we went live, and this time I wrote it out, but I didn't do it uh, beforehand. So we're going live as we go here. 2026 schedule, Houston Texans. Again, over under is 9.5, minus 145 for the over, plus 120 for the under. Buffalo, Cincinnati, both games home. In Indianapolis, home to Dallas. In Tennessee, home to the Jags, home to the Giants. Week 8 bye. What do you got? Buffalo, Cincinnati, in Indy, home to Dallas, in Tennessee, Jags and Giants.
Yeah, I got them 5-2 in this stretch. With a
Okay.
four-game winning streak, to end that poll. I think they lose to the Bills. I think they lose to the Colts on the road. But I got the rest wins here. I feel like a nice fast start for them would be really good. I think they could set the tone in the division a little bit with picking up a couple of wins there early. But at the same time, I also am understanding that some of these games are kind of what's the health of Daniel Jones. We're not even gonna see Daniel Jones until week 1. I don't know if you know that, but he is not gonna be playing supposedly in any of the postseason games, which gives me even more concern regarding them. But I think that's going to play a large part in how I feel about the Colts moving forward. But in terms of the Texans, I think we get off to a good start here before the bye, 5-2.
Yeah, so I have them 6-1. I I'm curious though, right off the bat, I those two games, Buffalo, Cincinnati. What is interesting to me about this is that, and this is kind of what the exercise is, right? Is you try to remember what the teams were last season, but
Mm,
also incorporate whatever changes were made along the way this summer. And Buffalo, we know the offense. Cincinnati, we know the offense. Um, it's that defense on both sides. Like offensively, as much as we've waxed poetic about the pieces that Stroud has, I would clearly take both of those offenses over CJ Stroud, right? That's not a hot take. That's a pretty normal opinion, I believe, right?
yeah.
Um defensively though, I don't like what I'm seeing from the Buffalo Bills over the court. I just don't know how I feel about them right now. We're gonna get into them later this summer. And Cincinnati, as much as it's been improved on paper, we haven't seen anything yet. So for
Right.
me, as much as I am giving the Texans uh, the win against Buffalo and against Cincinnati, and I say all that to say this, that could easily be 0-2.
Hmm.
With, right? Like that's okay. I'm gonna give it to them 2-0. Realistically, that means they probably go like 1-1, right?
Yeah, and that's how I
Um,
have them split.
yeah,
I have them
right.
winning one, losing the other. Yeah.
But that's gonna be really curious. And yeah, Indy, Dallas. Dallas is another one, man. Like their offense, we know how good that offense can be. What's that defense like that? I guess the point that I'm trying to get at is that like can CJ Stroud with the weapons that he has around him, even if Tank Dell's not 100%, can he take advantage of these mediocre to bad defenses? Because he can't always, and so that's what I'm really curious to watch, um, especially in the first half of that season. All right, after the bye, uh, a bit of a tough stretch here in Indianapolis. Oh, sorry, almost said San Diego. In LA to take on the Chargers, in Cleveland to take on the Browns, in home to take on the Colts, home to take on the Ravens, in Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, and in Washington to take on the Commanders.
That's a nifty little stretch there. I
Yeah,
I personally have them 4-2 in that stretch, putting them at 9-4 at that stage. I
so
do
do I.
think they lose to the Ravens and Steelers there. But I have them winning the rest. That first tear from the Cowboys to the Colts, I have them winning all the way through. So they're going to go on a little bit of a run there. But I do think that they drop two back to back with the Ravens and Steelers, with a comeback victory at the Commanders. I just think the strength of their defense is going to carry them in games like, say, the Chargers, games like the Browns, because Browns, we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be. Chargers, we don't know if they're going to have both their tackles at that point in the season. So I think the strength of their defense is going to get them by in those two games in particular. And I think they beat the Colts here at home after losing to them earlier in the season. So yeah, 9-4 at this stretch of the season right now for the Texans from me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I gave them some uh different losses. I think they lose to the Chargers, and I think they lose to the Colts. I think that this division, they're really good. They seem to be very good against each other. They're at least in my memory, they're one of those divisions that, they might be an awful team, but against each other, they are
Mm,
strong. We're going to talk about the Colts here in a couple minutes. That's just a team that, like, it's impossible to fully know what that team is actually going to be, right? And so I think to give them a split there, um, I'm okay with it. Ravens, Steelers, it's kind of the same thing. Like the Steelers we talked about last week, I'm high on the Steelers, at least in comparison to where most people are. I think that they're actually going to be really good. And I'm high on that offense with Rodgers this season. At the same time, I don't think, um, as good as the Pittsburgh defense is, I just think that defense in Houston is going to give Rodgers and the crew some trouble. And the Commanders, according to everyone that I listen to, they're not going to win any football games this year, so that's going to be interesting to watch. All right, wrapping up the season, week 15 through 18, home to the Jags in Philadelphia, in Green Bay, and home to the Titans.
Yeah, so I have them 2-2 here. I have them back-to-back losses, Jags and the Eagles. Jags just because I feel like that's going to be a split. And I gave them the earlier game, so I got them losing that game. And then you got a 4-day swing there to face the Eagles. Tough on a tight schedule. To go ahead and face a good team like the Eagles. So I feel like they're going to go back to back there, but with the extra rest heading into the Packers game, I think they go ahead and grab that W there and then finish off against a rebuilding Titans team. So I have them 11-6 to finish the season.
I am right there with you. I kind of wavered on that Eagles game. I can see that going either way. I can see them beating the Eagles there in that spot, even with the 4-day rest. Um, I, again, I'm very curious for the Eagles what that offense was very easily flustered last season.
Mm.
And with that defense, I'm very curious to see kind of what that offense molds into as the season goes on. But I'm right there with you, 11-6, um, for Houston. So my question to you, the over under is 9.5, 11-6. Before we move on, why do you think I was a little shocked to see the number that low? Do you think that 9.5 is lowballing the Texans?
I think the ceiling ought to be there, to be honest. I think the ceiling should be like more 10.5 than where it's at. only because with the strength of that defense, they really only need mediocre quarterback play. Keep in mind that Davis Mills had a stretch there where he had to go in there and win some football games
That's
last year.
true. Yeah, I forgot about
And
that.
so, like, to me, I'm thinking, and that, no knock against Davis Mills, but he's solid backup. Um, he's from an era of quarterback where, like, they drafted you and they didn't really expect you to play, but you ended up playing a lot of football. And so he has starts under his belt where he could go in there and be a pro and win some games. And he did win some games last year, so much so that it actually started the trend up for them, for Houston to catch fire. They became a team where, like, if they could just score 17 to 20 points, they could win a football game. Like, that's they figured out that was the formula for them last season, because that offensive line was in dire straits. So I think this year it's really going to depend on that O line, and really going to depend on the new advancements at running back, having a David Montgomery, having Woody Marks there to be a third down guy, to be the lightning to the thunder that is David Montgomery. A lot's going to be asked of the rookie that they got on that offensive line. I think Braden Smith is going to be a really solid pickup on that right side. You hope that he stays healthy, and you hope that he stays solid, because he is a good lineman. Seeing him over the years over with the Colts, he is a solid right tackle. So I think for me, if the line can hold and they can get at least mediocre play, 10.5 should have really been the ceiling for me, with as good as that defense is.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Before we move on, a couple quick things. Jordan, Texans, if Stroud actually improves, could win the division. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, because they're plus 120, which is the shortest odds to win the division by far. And I'm very curious about that. Very curious about that, considering what the Jags did last year. And we're going to talk about them here in a little bit. Also, Joshua Valdez, gang, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully, you enjoy what you see and what you hear. Definitely, you will enjoy what you hear more than what you see, for sure. That's a guarantee. But either way, it's good to have you. Stroud is so disappointing. Yeah, it's the really curious thing, man, right? This is the conversation that we're having, is a team that is essentially 12-5 almost every season. They get to the divisional round every season.
And they
And
poop the
it's
bed.
every time. And
Something happens.
that was bad. Like, that was very,
Yeah.
very bad. And that was a winnable game, by all accounts. All right. Moving on to the Indianapolis Colts. 8-9 last season. I one of my favorite bets, one of my it's on my mantle, just before the real losing hit. I picked at plus, what was it? It was plus 5 or plus 700
Yes, I remember this.
for the
They were
Colts to miss
feeling
the
good to miss the
playoffs.
playoffs. I was like, "You're crazy.
Yeah.
You're
I
crazy."
I think they were still like 4 or 5 games above 500, I
Yeah,
think. And I was like, this is going downhill in a
yeah.
hurry. And that was before he even got hurt.
Yeah, I was
That
saying
wasn't
Daniel Jones was still in there, so you just
Yeah. Yeah.
great timing.
So that was that felt nice when those kind of bold predictions, quote unquote, hit. All right. 8-9 last season. Over under is 7.5, minus 125 for the over, plus 105 for the under, plus 6,600 to win the Super Bowl, plus 2,500 to win the AFC, plus 2,500 as well to get the 1 seed, plus 400 to win the division. Daniel Jones obviously coming off this injury. I feel like every team that we preview, we're going to say so and so coming off an injury. What's he going to be like? Because it's all like ACLs or whatever. Like it's all like pretty serious injuries.
Yeah.
What is he going to be like? He is 29 years old, not into his 30s yet, but we will see what he is like. Downs and Pierce need to step up with Pittman out, obviously. Warren at tight end still. Obviously, you have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. But again, another team. Um, I feel like it's just kind of Groundhog's Day when we're talking about these teams is the quarterback. And now the Colts have a lot more questions than just the quarterback. Unlike, in my opinion, the big question for the Texans is the quarterback. The Colts have a few more than just Daniel Jones. But where are you at with the Indianapolis Colts heading into 2026? Again, 8-9 last season, 7.5 is the total heading into this season.
Listen, you remember I was bullish on the Colts heading into last season. I said Daniel Jones was going to take this team and they were going to make the playoffs. They were, listen, I took the over on their wins so fast. And thankfully he got there before he got hurt. But listen, I'm just as bullish on them this season. Okay. And let me tell you why. Because this isn't Daniel Jones's first rodeo coming off an injury. Now, is it the same injury? Not exactly, but he has been out for prolonged stretches of time with the Giants. I am familiar with this story, with this dance when it comes to Daniel Jones. Now, would I like to have seen him in the preseason to give me a little bit more confidence heading into the season? Absolutely. But I do appreciate where they're coming from in the caution because, yes, he does have an injury history. And yes, he is the key to their season. So it makes sense that you don't want him to experience any kind of contact that may, trigger an injury. Shout out to A-Rod, 4 plays into 2 seasons ago. So listen, we just can't take that risk. We can't take that risk. So I think for me, it's definitely going to be kind of like a prove it year for him. We've seen it for half a season. Yeah. Can we see it for a full season? And then after that, it's still going to be a prove it because we need to see it in back-to-back seasons, which we haven't seen from him. He hit the playoffs with the Giants and he didn't do anything after that. Same thing here. We got him for half a season with the Colts. He did great, got hurt, and then we didn't see him after that. So consistency is going to be the key as far as Daniel Jones is concerned. If they can get above average quarterback play, that line that they're at right now, all of a sudden you can sniff 10, maybe 11. Who knows?
Whoa.
But I think that there's a potential here with the young talent that they have. They got some young studs coming in there on defense that I like. Middle linebacker that they drafted that's going to be replacing Zaire Franklin. I think he could be really, really key. CJ Allen. I think they got Halsey for the back end with a secondary that's already dynamite. You got Sauce Gardner. You got Cam Bynum back there. Sharfarius Ward back there. I think the secondary should be solid. If they can get a pass rush and the quarterback can stay healthy, control the clock with JT, you can make some noise. You can make some noise.
It's not that I'm low necessarily. It did not take me long to buy in to Daniel Jones. And how could it? He played very, very well. They did not win in the first half of last season in spite of Jones. Like he was very, very good. And as I mentioned, his play was declining before he got hurt. And he tried to battle through it and I just as is the case with most teams these days, after Danny Dimes, who else? Like it's ghost town. Like they need him to stay healthy and they need him to play well. I like Downs. I like Pierce. It's not. I don't think that they are. I think that they are actually very good options. But Pittman, having him insulate those two guys, I just think, or to insulate Pierce anyway, um, is right. And I think Warren, um, that was his rookie year last year. I think he's going to keep getting better. I really like him a lot. Um, but they really need Jones to play well, um, and stay healthy. Obviously, they have Jonathan Taylor, as it is with running backs in the NFL. Is the bottom can fall out at any time. So I would count on it, like him playing well, but you never know when he'll stop playing well, right? That's just kind of the nature of the position. My question to you before we get to the schedule here: what's your read on the defense? Because admittedly, I don't have a good one. Obviously, getting Sauce Gardner, um, and hey, that trade alone, that's another reason why they need to do well because they won't be drafting. They won't be drafting in
Yeah.
good positions because of that trade. Um, so what is your position on this defense? Um, Sauce Gardner is not a guarantee to be the player that we know him to be. But beyond that side of it, what's your read on this defense? Because I don't have a good feel for it at all.
Yeah, for me, I just think that you have some young talent going in there in some key positions. Like I said, CJ Allen in middle linebacker. You got AJ Halsey at strong safety. I think those guys are gonna have to make impacts for them. Especially CJ Allen when you lose a tackling machine like Zaire Franklin. Those are big shoes to fill. I think what's really, really super gonna be the key though is pass rush. Can they get home to the quarterback? And I think maybe they can get themselves more coverage sacks with this secondary than they probably had in the last several years. I think the secondary is the best it's been under this current regime. I think because of that, because of the ability that they're gonna have, and even behind them, they got guys like Cam Tyler Britt at corner. You got Jonathan Owens, who's played a lot of football between the Packers and the Bears. Shout out to Mister. I call him Mister. Who's the gymnast? Help me out.
I
Because
don't know.
the gymnast that everyone loves to hate, Simone Biles. There you go. I call him
Oh,
Mr.
okay,
Biles
okay.
because he's in a relationship with Simone Biles. I think
Oh, okay,
I
gotcha.
think the
Listen, I know Biles is famous, and I for a lot of reasons. Um, some of them are very unfortunate, to say the least. You can't just have me pulling out gymnast names randomly. Like
fair, fair, fair,
I
fair.
like to think that I know a lot about sports, but that's a unfair position to put me in.
Tough pull for you. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Listen, I think ultimately at the end of the day, for them, the if the secondary can play up to expectations, and if DeForest Buckner can stay healthy, because that's going to be
Mm,
huge.
mm.
He's a guy that's long in the tooth now, and he's starting to get bit by that injury bug the last couple of seasons. He's a very key part of that line. I think if he can stay healthy, allow the pass rushers to get in, he can eat those double teams. I think they have the opportunity to be a better defense than they were for the majority of last season. Remember, they only had Sauce for half the season.
That's true.
And then at that, he was injured for some of that half. So was Ward. So I'm thinking fully healthy off season, locked in the new, in the defense. I think we have a better chance at being a solid defense with them from the start.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. All right. Moving on to the schedule, and to me, I think that their bye is week 13. And I think that there are um it's the tail. So from 1 to 12, cut it in half, that's 6. I think there's a tale of two sixes here,
Okay.
and it's could make or break their season. This is my personal opinion. So let's go with the first 6. In Baltimore, or sorry, home to Baltimore to start the season. In Kansas City, home to the Texans, home to the Commanders. 3 out of 4 at home. Pretty good start that way. In Pittsburgh, week 5, home to the Titans in week 6. Um, I have them going 3-4 in this spot, and I think they're going 1-4 in the first 5 games of the season. And I'm curious if that does play out that way, seeing how they can bounce back from it. Um, I have so sorry, in that stretch that I'm jumping ahead of myself here. In that stretch, I have them 2-4 in the first 6 games.
Okay, I went the opposite way. I have them 4-2 in this
Oh,
stretch.
you love the Colts. You're all
I
about it.
listen, if this man can stay healthy, I'm telling you,
Wow.
last year was
You
not
miss
a
him.
fluke.
You
It
miss
was
him.
not a fluke.
Just say it. You miss him. You miss him.
Well, no, I'm not gonna say I miss him because I love Dart right now.
Fair. That's fair.
But I
Yeah.
will say that I think he's going to be better than what people anticipate, and it would be smart of them to lean on JT, to lean on DJ Giddens and the run game behind what I expect to be at least a top 15 defense if they're fully healthy. Uh and kind of like ride that wave until he gets his legs underneath him. I think the thing with Jones that people are worried about is that he's not the most agile guy.
No.
Okay, he is if you give him space in front of him, he can break away from you. But he's not a side to side guy, and that's the thing you worry about with the injury that he's coming back from. Can he avoid a rush? Right. So I think for me, if the best way to kind of sap a pass rush is to run the ball down their throats. And
Right.
why not do that when you have a top 5 back in the league? So I think they're gonna ride the run game early. I think they take L's at the Chiefs and believe it or not, home to the Commanders. I think the Commanders are gonna win games that they
Oh.
shouldn't. Um, but still lose enough to be a top 10 draft pick. So I gave them a
Right.
win here against the Colts, but I have them 4-2 heading into the road game against the Vikings.
Yeah, I think there's a couple caveats here. I actually gave them the win against the Commanders, losing the first 3 games of the season, beating the Commanders, losing to the Steelers. I um I think a big caveat here for me um in these first 5 games is the Chiefs. We haven't talked about the Chiefs yet. We're going to dive into them soon here in the next few weeks. I don't think there's a guarantee that the Chiefs are all of a sudden just going to be the Chiefs again. I
Mm.
also I also think it would be foolish to full on say that it's a guarantee that they won't become the Chiefs again, right? Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
still have the greatest quarterback of this generation with one of the greatest coaches of all time. Um, it's going to be really interesting to see. Um, so that could easily be a win as well. All right, moving on. 6-12. I have them 2-4. You have them 4-2.
Yeah.
Titans, home to Titans in Minnesota, in Jacksonville, home to the Cowboys, home to the Dolphins, in Houston, home to the Giants. This is where I said the tale of two sixes. I have them going 5-1 in this stretch.
I have them 4-2 in this stretch. I think they lose on the road to the Jaguars because I think they're going to split with the Jags.
Me
So
as well.
I think they're going to lose this game. And then I do also think that they split with the Texans. So I have them losing on the road to the Texans in the stretch. But I gave them wins everywhere else because you have question marks at quarterback with the Vikings. You have question mark at quarterback with the Dolphins. We don't know who Malik Willis is going to be. We saw him for a stretch of a couple of games in relief of Jordan Love last year, and because the Green Bay leadership, some of the leadership goes to the Dolphins. They're like, yeah, that's our guy. We don't know if he's a guy yet. So I just think with those question marks there, I gave them wins there. And listen, I love to hate on the Cowboys as much as you do. So for the sake of just having them take an L, I gave them an L right there against the Colts. So 4-2, 4-2. I have them 8-4 at this point of the season.
Shout out, to um, the Sports Gambling Podcast, if anyone listens to it. The two hosts, one's an Eagles fan, one is a Giants fan, and they do an exercise similar to this, except they have like podcasts for every single team where we're just doing divisions. They go full team by team by
Ooh,
team.
love that.
And yeah, they dedicate like 45 minutes to the schedule, and it's really fun listen. But my point is, every season they have the Cowboys projected to go 0-17 every year. It's hilarious. It's great. All right, moving on. It's week 13, wrapping up the season. Tough, just travel wise. It's a tough stretch to finish off the season in Philadelphia, in Tennessee, home to the Bengals, in Cleveland, and home to the Jags. I have them going 2-3 here. I do think the Titans are going to be better than they were last year. I think they're not going to be an easy out. I don't think they're going to be good necessarily, but I think they're going to not be the disaster that they have.
Would you see that you think that they're going to be frisky like the Saints, or maybe just a bit below that?
A bit below the Saints.
Okay.
Not quite Saints frisky, but a little below. The Bengals, for me, it's any W or L that I put next to a Bengals game, they're an absolute wild card to me. I have no idea what that team's going to be. I think they're going to lose to the Browns. I think the Browns still have a really good defense. I think they're going to be at home. Who knows we probably know what the Browns will be playing for at the end of the year. But the players don't care about a draft pick. They're trying to win football games. And I have them splitting with Jacksonville. So I gave Jacksonville the win earlier. I'll give the Colts the win now. So I have them going 2-3. Look at me. Finishing the season 9, right? 9-8. Okay. Yeah, 9-8, going over the number. I didn't think I would, but here we are.
Nice. Okay. I do agree with the travel. So even though they have 2 weeks to prepare for that Eagles game, I do have them losing that Eagles game. And I actually also have them losing at the Titans after that. I think the Titans, like I said, are going to be a better team. Even if the wins and losses aren't going to maybe reflect that they're a better team, I think the games will be just a little bit more competitive. I won't say they're going to be Panthers competitive, or like we talked about the Saints being frisky. I don't think they're going to be quite at that level, and we're going to get to them later on in the show. But I do feel like they will win games here and there, and it won't be a surprise because I think they're just going to put a better product up. So I think they lose those first 2 games, but then I do have them winning out. Wins against the Bengals, wins against the Browns, wins against the Jaguars to finish 11-6. Quite frankly, given Burrow's history, I don't know if he's playing that game.
That's a great point.
But
Yeah,
on the other
that's a
side
great
of
point.
that, they may not be playing for as much that potential of the season. So I think
Right?
that's a big wild card that they could be so good that maybe they're not putting forth all their weapons, so to speak, or they could just be, hey, our quarterback's down, we're going to do the best we can. So I gave them wins all the way out, leading them to 11-6, putting them in a record tie with the Texans.
All right. Absolutely love it. So both of us over the 7.5 at -125. We have spent 51.5 minutes on Houston and Indianapolis. So we will try our best to pick to pick up the pace a little bit here. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars over 8. This is so curious to me, and I've been looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this all day. Over 8.5. After going 13-4 last season, their total is 8.5.
Yeah.
-140 for the over, so it is juiced heavily to the over. +115 for the under. That's not super long. +115 to go under the number. For as juicy as the -140 is, that's not super long to go under +115. +3,000 to win the Super Bowl, +1,300 to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Number 1 seed, +1,500, and +210 to win the division. Houston, as I mentioned earlier, +120. Jacksonville, who won it by a mile, not a mile, but they won it last year. They are +210 to win the division. Talk to me about all of that. Why the total is so low. Why they favoring Houston to win the division is fine. I have no issue with that. You watched the show last year, nobody doubts the Jags. Well, not a lot of people doubt the Jags. I can't say that, but I doubt Trevor Lawrence as much as the other doubters out there.
Yeah.
But this was a very good football team last year, and it feels like they're being somewhat disrespected by the books. What's your thought on that? And then segue to what's your overall look at the Jacksonville Jaguars this season?
Well, I mean, they got a really brutal early schedule, if you
That's
think
true.
about it. So I think this is valid, to be honest. I think the things that are going to be biggest concerns for them is they can't afford to disappear at any point during this season.
Very true.
There's no stretches during this season that they can afford to. I mean, you got the Bears on the schedule, you've got the Patriots, you got the Broncos, two teams that were in the AFC Championship last year. Like there is no breaks in this season where you can pinpoint, say, okay, if they can just get to this record every game for them is gonna feel like a huge problem. So 8 is actually generous. If I mean you're looking at the same schedule as I am, and they have the
Yep.
Texans in their division. So you could kind of put that together. Here's what I like. I think there's a lot of offensive upside. Okay. I think they're not putting all their eggs in the Travis Hunter basket as an offensive player. I think that they're going to primarily have him on defense as a starting corner. And I think in spells, they may have him in packages, whether that be in the red zone or certain third down plays. I don't think we're going to see a steady dose of Travis Hunter playing offense. And you know what? That's probably for the best because they traded for Jacoby Myers last season, and they have a guy in Parker Washington that really stood out to me last season, when Brian Thomas Jr. was having the case of the dropsies. So I think it makes sense for them to go in that direction. Now, running back, They're off of ATN. They got Bashal Tootin in there now with Chris Rodriguez as the second guy. I think there's a lot of potential in this offense moving forward. Second season under Liam Cohen for Lawrence. There's a chance for there being an upside there. There's enough young talent here to make a jump. They do have a legitimate chance to win the division. And I will say this on top of that, if they do happen to win the division, looking at this schedule, they will have earned it. They will have earned it.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. Um, sorry. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Yeah, agreed. I think like one of the previous schedules that we did, I do think that there's a tale of kind of two kind of parts here, at least to start the schedule. I think as difficult as the beginning is, I think it does cool off, even though they play a lot of road games after the bye, a lot of home games before the bye, by default. I do think it does kind of cool off a little bit. What I'm interested in and why I don't I think the number should be a little higher just based off of last season. I kind of go back and forth. Defensively, talent wise, it's not the best. It's not bad. It's pretty good. Not the best as far as talent goes. Like you said, I feel like they need Hunter more on the defensive side of the ball than they do on the offensive side of the ball. And the fact that they know that, I think is important. What First of all, what encourages me about the Cohen thing, we all know it was a very awkward arrival to Jacksonville for our guy.
Duval.
Yeah, very, very awkward. Okay. What impressed me with it was they were winning in spite of Trevor Lawrence at the beginning of the season. And he turned it around. And I talked about this last season. Trevor Lawrence is one of those guys that I just can't all the way buy into. And that hasn't necessarily changed. That hasn't necessarily changed. But what I was reminded of, and I did get this from another podcast that I was listening to, and I agree with this wholeheartedly, is that they got their butts kicked by Houston down the stretch, um, towards the middle-ish of the season, if I remember correctly here. And after that loss, they did not lose again, and until the playoffs. And that to me is just as much coaching as it is on the players. And I'm very encouraged by that. And I think that speaks volumes to the leadership in the locker room and to the job that he has done and is doing. What concerns me with this roster, like you said, ETN is gone. They have Myers, they have Thomas Jr., they have Washington. Their tight end room is strong. What concerns me is they didn't really improve roster-wise. Like, they didn't necessarily they may have gotten a tad worse, but they certainly didn't improve in my mind. So, where the other teams have been looking to get better, I think Jacksonville just kind of stood pat. And that is kind of what concerns me heading into September.
Yeah, fair, fair enough. I think personally with them, they're gonna have two pieces of the puzzle in from the beginning, right? So like Jacoby Myers was a midseason pickup last year. I think Parker Washington was a shout out Bob Ross. I think he was a happy little accident. Um, and it turned out, wow, this guy could ball, and this guy could ball to the point where we can just have Travis Hunter exclusively on defense, and maybe make guest appearances on offense and packages. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how this brutal stretch early goes for them. I'm very curious to see how you got them schedule wise.
So I will throw this out here that I um I don't we're at the point of this preview. We did 8 teams last week. We're doing another 8 teams this week. I don't know, or I'm trying. How am I trying to say this? I'm trying my best to remember who I had lose and who I had win in the
Mm,
previous schedules that we went over. I
I
have it
had
all
to
written down. I
I
I
had to do the
think
same thing when I did the homework.
I think this exercise, I was trying to do it live as just a thought experiment, kind of go through it live and go through my process live. I'm not doing that next week because I need to remember who I had win and lose. So as you're
Valid.
talking, I'm like going through my notes trying to remember who I had do what. So I'm trying to be accurate when it comes to that. Browns home at Broncos, home to New England, at Bengals. So you're 2-2 home and away um, through the first 4 games. And then you're home to the Eagles, home to the Texans before the bye. Where are you at? First 6 games, home to the Browns, in Denver, home to the Pats, in Cincinnati, home to the Eagles, home to the Texans.
I have them 500. I have them 3-3. I think they lose to the Broncos and Patriots in those back-to-back games. I think they bounce back with a back-to-back wins on the Bengals and the Eagles, but I think they take an L in the first game against the Texans.
I have them 2-4. I think they
Okay.
beat the Browns, lose to Denver, lose to the Pats, and beat the Bengals, and lose those 2 games, even though they're at home. Um, I do think that that Eagles team, that Texans team, I it's the defense for me. As much as the offense,
Valid.
like I've talked about Trevor Lawrence and whatever, like he played very very well down the stretch last season, and you know Myers, Thomas Jr., Washington, those guys got to be players. Um, but I like what they've surrounded Lawrence with here. The running back group was a big question mark for me. We'll just kind of see what happens with it. Defensively, um, I'm just curious to see. Okay, 2-4. Sorry, what did you have them
Three
there?
and 3.
3-3. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so after the bye, this is where, depending your kind of perspective, to me it
Mm-hmm.
kind of softens a little bit. They're home to the Colts. They are in Baltimore, in Tennessee, in New York to take on the Giants next 3 games. Then they're home to the Titans, and they are in Chicago to take on the Bears. And I actually have them 5-1 in that stretch. I do have them losing to the Titans because I gave them a win against the Titans. Um, I gave them the win on the road and the loss at home. It doesn't matter. Pick your poison, whichever one. I think they win one. I think they lose one. But I do have them 5-1 in that stretch.
Okay. Not that dissimilar from you. I have them 4-2 in that stretch, making them 7-5 going into the Steelers game. I think they pick up both games against the Titans. I have them beating the Giants on the road in between. So that's like 4-1 there, but I do have them losing on the road to the Bears. So I have them 4-2 in that stretch, 7-5 heading into the final stretch of the season.
All right. Moving on. Steelers, Texans, home to the Steelers, in Houston, in Dallas, home to Washington, and in Indianapolis to take on the Colts. That final stretch, I have them 3-2.
I have them 2-3. finishing
Okay.
just over the number. I have them finishing 9-8. I think they get the games against the Cowboys and the Commanders. However, I have them losing at the Steelers because that's or losing at home at the in the Steelers. That's when we both have Rodgers going on that tear to end the season, just to finish just above 500. So it's in the midst of that. I think on the road against the Texans, who I think is going to win the division, is a loss. And I have them losing against the Colts at the end of the season. I said I'm very bullish on the Colts, but I did give them the split. So I had them winning the earlier game. True to form, I gave them the loss here. So I have them finishing 9-8, which is still above the number. So I gave them more than enough respect in comparison to the books.
Yeah, I have them. What is that? 10-7.
Okay.
10-7. I will say I'm just updating this as I go, updating you as I go. The Instagram feed froze, and so we're
Oh
figuring
no.
it out. We're figuring it out. We'll scrap it for this week. Try again next week. It's all good. Um, yeah, I have 10-7.
Okay.
Um, what did I have? We just did this, and I already forget. Yeah, okay. So one win behind the Houston Texans. Um, so that checks out. All right, moving on. Let's wrap up this division with the Tennessee Titans. I don't think there's too much to say. However, 3-14 last season, 6.5 is the over for this season,
Hmm.
which is a very healthy improvement. Clearly from last season. Minus 105, the over, minus 115 is the under. Plus 25,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 6,600 to win the conference. Number one seed, plus 6,600 as well, plus 850 to win the division. Robert Sala and Dable on the sidelines. I kind of
Yeah.
love it. I kind of love it. I kind of love it. It's a classic, not a good head coach, but still a good offensive mind. And I'm curious to see how that plays out. Cam Ward in an impossible situation last year. I think it's a better situation this year. Um, I have a couple things to go over when it comes to that. I do think you have Tate, you have Robinson, you have Ridley, you still have Pollard in the backfield. Um, Pretty complimentary group. Um, I'm curious your thoughts, especially defensively. You're way more attuned to that kind of stuff than I am. Where are you at with the Tennessee Titans heading into September?
Yeah, listen, it's gonna be a veteran group there. As far as the at least the front seven for the Titans defense. They did um Keandre Sweat's no longer with them, but they still have Jeffrey Simmons. They have John Franklin Myers, who's a vet of the Jets and the Broncos. Jermaine Johnson, also from the Jets. So they're gonna have at least IQ wise a very smart group in that front four there. I think the secondary leaves a little bit to be desired. I mean, I wasn't a very huge fan of Cordell Flott when he was with the Giants. But as far as talent wise, I think again IQ should be okay. They played a lot of football. So I think they're not going to just be the easy mark that they have been. However, this is definitely a rebuilding situation. And the you may not see the wins and losses improvement with the team, but I think the product on the field should be a little bit better to where you're not getting slammed 44-7. Or I think they're going to be frisky in the sense that it's just not going to be a week off for a team going in there with what they put together. But by all not they don't have enough roster wise, top to bottom, to compete with like the Texans or the Colts or the Jaguars over the course of 17 games. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And looking at the schedule, I think it's going to be a really hard um, first half. This is a
Yeah.
lot to talk through. Their bye is in week 9. I'm just going to go through it all here up until their bye week 9. Jordan, LOL. The Titans are going to win about 5 games and call it an improvement. Like, just get 6 wins and it'll be an improvement. Less than 5 will be a disaster. If the losses are blowouts, then there's some trouble. See, I don't. I think they're already there, dude. Like, to me, like I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with the words you're saying, but the sentiment to me is you're saying there's like hope, and I just don't think that there is, man. Like
I don't think
I
there's.
I have I have friends who are Tennessee Titans fans, which is weird. Being in Canada, just as random fans of random teams. Um, I listen to content that has Tennessee fans on it, and to me, it's like the despair that was last year. Like, you're already there. Like, there's not like the way they lost some of those games last year. Like, the hope here is your coaching staff is better, and
Mm,
better does not mean like I really like Robert Sala. Sala. I feel like I'm butchering his name. I really like him. I think he's a really good head coach. I think he was done dirty in New York, like a lot of
agreed.
people were. Um, that being said, and I like Dayball as far as an offensive mind. I so that there is hope there because they lost a lot of games last year because their coach just did stupid stuff at the half and it was a
Yeah.
gong show. I just think that they're just already at rock bottom. Like, what's a disaster? It's already a disaster. Like, we're trying to improve on the disaster, but you know what I mean? Um, I know a Titans fan that's from Memphis. He's cranky, but hides it with grandpa humor. That's a specific, very specific thing you just said. So I don't get it, but I'm sure you do, Jordan, and that's what matters. Um, all right. Let's I lost my train. Oh yeah. Uh, just quickly before we hit the schedule, I forgot to add this in here. Cam Ward last season. These are the defenses that he played, amongst others. But here's a little taste of the defenses he played. Obviously, the Texans twice and the Jags twice. I think the Jags on paper were a better defense last year than they're projected to be this year.
Mhm.
Faced them each twice, obviously. Seattle, Denver, and KC. For this poor kid with the roster that he had,
Yeah.
it's tough. I also really like Ridley not being the guy. I like the fact
Fair.
that they have other players that they don't have to rely on Ridley all the time. And I think that that is good as well. So, all right, moving on. Here's the schedule. Home to the Jets, home to the Eagles, in New York to take on the Giants, in Baltimore, home to the Texans, in Indianapolis, home to the Browns, in Cincinnati. At the bye, I have them 1-7. I do. I think we've been giving a lot of L's to the Giants, and I think they are going to win a couple games. I do. I think that um, I split them with the Colts, so eventually the Colts will get that win back. I think that Browns defense is still going to be very good, even with Myles Garrett being gone. We talked about this last week. I think it's going to be a lot to handle for Ward and that group. Um, I I think Pollard is a good running back. Still curious as to what exactly his ceiling is as the seasons go on. The one caveat there I will say is I gave them the loss to the Eagles. That would be a very Eagles game to lose. Like it would be.
Yeah, it
It
was.
it would be. Like it would be a very Eagles game to like
Yeah.
start the season like 7-1, and their only loss was to the Titans in week 2. Like that
Like we
completely
just
checks.
fell asleep. Like we just fell asleep that
Yeah,
week. Yeah.
that completely checks out to me. So maybe it's 2-6. But I have them 1-7 at the bye. I also, like I said, the Bengal. I don't know, who knows, but I have them 1-7 at the bye.
Yeah, I have them 2-6 at the bye, and I gave them the Browns game. Because again, that quarterback situation, you could have the best defense of all time, but if you don't have at least mediocre quarterback play, you can't just give wins or losses without knowing what that situation's going to be. And I don't know if it's going to be Shador at that point of the season. I don't know if it's going to be Deshaun Watson at that point of the season. But either
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
Myles Garrett's not there anymore. So as great as that defense is, and as much as I love my Seminole guy in Jared Verse, 2-6 for me. I think they beat the Browns, and I think they take the opener against the Jets.
All right. Jags, Cowboys. Sorry, home to the Jags, in Dallas, in Jacksonville, home to the Commanders, in Detroit to take on the Lions. That's a decently tough stretch. What do I got here? I have them 1-3. Oh, I have them 1-4 here.
I do also have them 1-4. I'm curious which game you gave them.
I gave them the Jags. I think they split.
Oh,
I think they
okay.
split to the Jags.
Guess
Yeah.
guess what I gave him.
Dallas.
I gave him the
16.
Cowboys game. I gave him the Cowboys game.
As you should.
I think it's a very Cowboys game to lose. You should win the game. You're gonna have the big screen in the middle of the field. Someone somewhere is gonna complain about whether the dome is open or closed, and somehow at the end of this game, you're gonna find yourself 27-20 losing to the Titans for no reason outside of you just underperformed. And you played to the opponent's play down to your opponent. This is a play down to your opponent position for me with the Cowboys.
All right. Closing out the season, home to the Colts, in Las Vegas, take on the Raiders, home to the Steelers, and in Houston to take on the Texans. I'm going to give them the win against the Raiders because I really don't know what that team is going to be. We're going to do the West in the next few weeks. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm going to give them a win against the Colts and the Texans because I have them splitting the division evenly. So I'm actually giving them 3-1 in that stretch, which still only puts them at 5-12 on the season.
Oh, look at us. I have them splitting. I have them winning the Colts game, the Raiders game, and losing out. Also putting them at 5-12 for the season.
Adorable. Absolutely adorable. Taking the under, which is -105. All right. We are going to move on to the NFC South. And listen, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. We're going to try to get through this. If there's any division to somewhat rush, it's the NFC South, if we're being honest about it. But we're not going to rush. We're just, going to be maybe a bit quicker than we were for the AFC. But yeah. All right. We're going to move on. We're going to take a quick break, a minute, stretch our legs, and we will be right back with the NFC South. Check, check. All right. Still working out the kinks of this new computer, man. Losing audio, getting audio. Who knows what we're doing? You all could have been waiting for 20 minutes for all I know. I have no idea. But welcome back to the NFL show on the S.O.S Sports Podcast Network, live on YouTube, on X, available on Spotify, and it'll be live on Instagram at some point. Tried it today, didn't work. We'll try it again. No big deal. Remind everybody, this show is brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Promo code SPORTS10 for 10% off your order. That's 10% off any sports card in the First Round Collectibles stores. They have ongoing sales all the time. Whatever percentage the sale is, add 10% to your order. That's the discount you get with promo code SPORTS10, FirstRoundCollectibles.com, and Total Apex Sports, daily sports news, DFS, fantasy, betting, the whole gamut. You get it. TotalApexSports.com. Moving on to the NFC South. Let's kick it off with the Atlanta Falcons, 8-9 on the season last year. The over/under is 6.5, minus 150 for the over, plus 125 for the under. Kevin Stefanski taking over. Did the quarterback situation in Cleveland break him? He is exiting a quarterback situation from hell and entering, comparatively, I wouldn't say it's hell.
Not as bad.
It's purgatory at best. Like, not quite hell, but it's a waiting room of some kind. You don't know. Are we going to heaven or are we going to hell? I have no idea. I mean, I think I know, but maybe they're a bit more optimistic. Plus 10,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 4,000 to win the NFC, plus 4,000 to get the number 1 seed, plus 3. This is how I am very down on this team. The fact that they're only plus 375 to win the division kind of shows you where this division is as a whole heading into this season. As it always is. Of course, don't forget, an 8-9 team represented this division in the playoffs last year. The quarterback room's already a mess. I believe that I heard reports that Matt Ryan has been throwing during drills because no one else is available. That's not even a joke. I actually heard that, and that could be wrong. I could be fooled there, but it wouldn't surprise me. Penix going through his thing, Tua going through his thing. I like actually I like both Robinsons. Obviously Bijan is the superior, but I like Brian Robinson as well. Pitts had a terrific season last year. What does that mean? Finally, is he going to do it again? Obviously, Drake London, I like. The 4 out of 5 of the O-line's back. Let me rephrase that. The O-line is back. I think 4 out of 5 are strong, solid, pretty good O-line overall. The defense is talented. They have decent pass rushers. I just can't. There are questions at defensive tackle. The secondary is good. You'll get into the defense on a more kind of nitty-gritty level. I just can't get past this quarterback situation, man. This is a disaster. It's a mess. I just don't like my hope and my prayer is that they know exactly what they have, and they are just doing this to get through the pain that will be drafting a quarterback in the future. Because they have good players. They have talented players. But to trust Tua and or Penix, it's just, you're just asking for trouble here. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm fine. To me, just obviously health pending. I get it. Just start Penix. What are we doing? Nobody thinks that Tua is going to be the guy of the future here. Just start Penix. see what you got, and move forward. What am I missing?
Yeah, I mean, my thing with this team is that the defense is okay. I believe Pierce with the offseason that he's had, he's going to be very glad when the season starts. Because then he could just lock in on football and everything could be about football. But when you have the
Yes, that's
situation
true.
you have, what is it that they say when you have two quarterbacks, you don't have any?
Yeah.
I listen, the fact that they decided, hey, let's get another lefty. I'm not saying that that's the reason they got Tua, but it's just funny to me that they grabbed like the only other lefty who's like started a lot of games of football and said, yes, you know what? This will make it easy for the team. They're going to be used to catching lefty balls. It's going to be great. Pause. Um, but like they honestly, their quarterback situation leaves a lot to be desired. Doesn't matter to the weapons to me. Bijan's going to be Bijan. He's going to be great. He's going to catch the ball. He's going to run the ball. He's going to be the focal point of the offense. I just don't know if they have enough top to bottom, and especially at the most important position, quarterback. What's Penix's upside? What are we going to see from him? When are we going to see it? Is he going to start the season? A lot of question marks there. Here's what I like. I do like Penix's upside with the weapons that are currently on this roster. I do love that they have a lot of young talent on this team. They could potentially improve on defense. Maybe Kevin Stefanski breathes new life into the team, but I don't see them competing for the division outside of the two that I like already, which are the same two from last year. But again, anything can happen in this division.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, the Falcons find a way to hover around 500 no matter what. Like they just do. They grind out wins. Like you believe in them for a
Yeah.
minute, then you don't, then you do. It's just kind of how they operate.
They went 7
I'm
and
just
10 3 years in a row, which is impressive to do.
yeah. And I mean, I just think that so there's that, okay? I un- I understand that they just end up being around 500, whether it's 7, 10, 8, 9, whatever it is. So you can give them that. I just don't see it like the defense will keep them in games. I just, like you said, like Bijan's going to run the ball. The guy's nasty, one of the best in the league. He just got paid like he's one of the best in the league. And I like that O line. And that's really what they're going to have to hang their hat on.
Yeah.
And you're just going to need him, whoever the quarterback is, to just make good decisions and not lose you the football game. Um, we don't know what Penix is, and we know what Tua is. Listen, I understand that Tua had good moments. I do. He was relatively successful in the early stages in Miami. Um, you had Tyreek Hill, you had Waddle. I just, I just can't get on board here. And I look at the schedule, and of course, you could beat the Panthers, you could beat the Saints. Um, I spoiler alert, I do think they split with the Bucks. Um, and they probably split with the division. That's just kind of the way this division operates. So we'll just, I don't know. Do you have anything left to add? We can dive right into
We
the
could dive right
schedule
into the
here.
schedule.
So what I'm about to do, you could not do. Like I'll explain what I mean. Um, I'll just cut to it here. I have them going 1-9 to start the season.
Okay.
And I don't. We'll split it up, but I'm just kind of making my point. If they split the division, theoretically, they play what 1, 2. 3 divisional games in that stretch. So if you want, instead of 1-9, it can be 3-7. Fine. Whatever you want to do. I don't think it's going to be good. Let's start the first 6 games and we'll get through it. In Pittsburgh against the Steelers, home to the Panthers, in Green Bay, in New Orleans, home to Baltimore, home to the Bears, home to the Niners, in Tampa. Oh, yeah. What did I say? 6?
Yes, you did say
My
6.
my apologies. In Pittsburgh, home to Carolina, in Green Bay, in New Orleans, home to Baltimore, home to Chicago. I have them 0-6. Like I said, if you want to give them the wins against the Panthers and Saints and give them those losses later on, fine, 2-4. But I have them going 0-6 start the season. I just don't. What offense are they keeping up with? Maybe Pittsburgh. I don't know. The Niners are gonna. I don't know. I can't get over this quarterback situation, man. And maybe it's tainting my overall objectiveness, but I just can't get over it.
I'm 1-5. I'm 1-5
Yeah.
here. I did give them the Panthers game here because I have them losing the last game. Um, yeah, 1-5 for me. The quarterback situation's too sketchy for me, and at some point, you got to go from mediocre to like either bottom out or hit the top. And I don't think this. I think this team bottoms out this year for the first time.
Home to the Niners, in Tampa Bay, home to the Bengals, home to the Chiefs. They got a lot of home games too. Like they start off 3 out of 4 on the road, and then they got quite a few home games. Um, but home to the Niners in Tampa, Bengals and KC both at home. Then the bye week 11. We'll stop there. I have them going 1-3 here, and simply because I think they split with the Bucks, and I'll give them a win and the misery. 1-4 or 1-3, in that stretch, making them 1-9 through the first 10 weeks of the season.
I also have them 1-3 this stretch, making them 2-8 on my schedule. But I gave them the win against the 49ers.
Oh, okay.
I just think the health of the 49ers, they're going to lose games that maybe they shouldn't.
That's
Just
fair.
because someone's going to be nicked up. That wide receiving core, who knows who's going to be healthy at midpoint of the season, close to the midpoint of the season, with the rash of injuries they've already got in that wide receivers room.
I I yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I gave them the loss against the Niners, but I do see what you're saying there. Okay, coming out of the bye, let's just go through the stretch. 7 weeks, 12 to the end. In Minnesota, home to the Lions, in Cleveland, in Washington, home to the Bucks and the Saints, and in uh Carolina. They start off that stretch 0-3 against the Vikings, Lions, and the Browns. The Browns is just who, to me, it's just who has the better defense because both offenses are going to be a wash. Um, which is not it. It's not fair to be so down on this offense just because of the talent that's not at quarterback. Like they do have a good offensive line. They do have a really good running back room. They do have pieces on the outside. I just think that both. That's just how I feel about it. But I do think they're going to go 0-3 to start the stretch. However, they're going to beat Washington, and I have them splitting with the division. So they're going to go 4-1 or 4-3, sorry, to finish off that stretch, making them 5-12 on the season.
That's crazy. I also had them finishing 5-12. I gave them the win on the road on with the Commanders. I do have them splitting with the Bucks and the Saints, so I gave them those two wins. And they finished with the loss at Carolina because I gave them the home win in week 2. So I have them also finishing 5-12.
Under 6.5 plus 125. Moving on to the Carolina Panthers. So much optimism, so much hope, and then the injuries hit. It's not all a lot, or not. It's not all is lost. They're still a good team, good players, but definitely some important pieces went down for them over the course of training camp so far. 8-9 last year, and they were this close to beating the Rams in the playoffs.
Man, that
That
was a
was,
frisky playoff game, wasn't it?
dude, that honestly, I don't really know why. That is in my mind when I think playoffs, that's the most memorable game for me. Like
Yeah, that
when
was a
I
fun
think
game.
about the playoffs last year, I think about that game. It was tremendous, just punch for punch, all the way to the end. And it looked at the end, it looked like Carolina was going to win the game. And the Rams found a way. 8-9, the over 7.5, plus 100 for the over, minus 130 for the under, plus 10,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 5,000 to win the conference, plus 4,000 to get the 1 seed, plus 325 to win the division. And I think that is a number
Hmm.
worth looking at. Um, Last season, Bryce Young, 3,011 yards, 23 TDs, 11 picks, 216 on the ground, 2 TDs. Um, you got Hubbard. They're taking a chance on Jonathan Brooks in the backfield. Um, Injured a lot over the last 3 seasons. They're taking a chance that he's going to be healthy. You have McMillan. Other than that, it's a little thin. Um, the O line's a little bit concerning. Um, Really, it's just continuing to see if this is the year for Bryce Young. This is it. This is are we moving on with you or are we moving on without you? This is really the year. Um, Even with the what's this? I'm gonna butcher this name. Scorden, the guy who got hurt.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Scorden. I can't read my own writing. It's brutal. Regardless, it's a talented defense. They added Phillips, they added Lloyd, talented defense. Um, a few years ago, this was like one of the worst defenses in the league, and they've done a great job in turning it around in just 2 years. Um, I I don't know what high means, um, but I am higher on the Panthers certainly than I have been in the past. Where are you at with the Panthers heading into the season?
Yeah, I mean they have now created a little bit of a reputation of being frisky. And now that friskiness finally got them to a division win. So now basically was this an aberration or was this a beginning of things to come? I think for me, Bryce Young is going to be obviously the biggest story in Carolina, right? If he breaks out, Carolina could go again, win the division. They have a young roster. They've made some defensive improvements. Love the pickup of Jalen Phillips. They have momentum heading into the season, carry over from last season, how that ended. Because even in a playoff loss, it was an entertaining playoff loss. Um, so I think for me, do they carry over momentum into next season? And yeah, the potential growth at quarterback. So we'll see what ends up happening in this crazy division that is the best of the mids, like Jordan likes to say. We'll see what ends up happening.
Moving on to the schedule. Bears at home to kick it off. in Atlanta, in Cleveland, home to the Lions. Then they have their bye. I don't know. In my head, I just like breaking it up as a bye. That makes sense to me. I have going 2-2 in this spot. I think the Bears and the Lions to bookend those first 4 weeks um, is a tough spot. Um, but I like them to beat the Falcons and ironically, they'll be 0-2 at home and 2-0 on the road. Um, but I like them to go 2-2 here. I think they can pull that off.
I have them 1-3. I
Okay.
gave them a win against the Browns, and then I have them split against the Falcons, and I have them winning the last game against the Falcons. So 1-3 for me here heading into the bye, and 2 weeks to prepare for the Eagles.
Where I do think they are going to lose. The Eagles are very interesting. If you've watched this show at all, you know I'm a big Eagles fan. I did the math, 27 years of my life, not being from Philadelphia. I have since been to Philadelphia a million times. But yeah, 27 years as an Eagles fan, as a kid from a farm town in Ontario. Very random, but that's my life. Uh, why couldn't the Eagles find a way to lose this game too? It wouldn't surprise me at all. Um, but I do have them losing to the Eagles, but we'll get there. In Philadelphia, coming out of the bye, home to Tampa Bay, in Green Bay, home to the Broncos, in New Orleans, home to Baltimore, and in Tampa Bay, week 12. We'll stop there. In Philly, home to Tampa, in Green Bay, home to Denver, in New Orleans, home to Baltimore, and then in Tampa Bay. I have them going 2-4, 5, 2-5 in this stretch.
Call me crazy, but I have the exact opposite. I have them going 5-2 in
Really?
this stretch. I
Okay.
think they find something here in this stretch of ball, um, where they're looking up at the season
Oh,
at one
sorry.
and three. Good.
Sorry. I'm wrong. I have I apologize. I scratched that out. I have them 3-4.
3-4. Okay.
I have them beating the Packers. They did it last year. Why can't they do it again this year?
That's so funny. That's one of the two losses I gave them in that stretch. I have them beating the Eagles and Bucks. I have them losing to the Packers. Then I have them rolling off 3 in a row against the Broncos, the Saints, and the Ravens, and then ending with the loss to the Bucks because I think they split that. So I have them 6-5 at this point of the season.
Love it. Yeah, okay. I have them 5-6. Not too far off. Jordan, bruh, the Panthers could be 6-11, but could also barely be 9-8 and win that division. Yeah, that's fair.
That's so valid.
And the Aints are an auto bye week for real teams. I can't wait.
Nah,
I can't wait.
nah.
No, I can't
I don't think
wait.
they're the easy wins that you think it is, Jordan.
No, I can't wait to talk about the Saints, man. I'm all
Yeah.
about it. I'm all about it. I am drinking the Benjamin Solak Kool-Aid. I am drinking all of the cool NFL analysts that are all about this Saints team. I am right there for it. Wrapping up the season in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Um, home to the Saints, home to the Bengals, in Pittsburgh, home to the Seahawks, and home to the Falcons to wrap up the season. I think that's going to be a very, very difficult stretch. The Bengals game, I am going to give them a win. I don't really know. Like we said, The Bengals could be Joe Burrowless by that point, or they could be battling for a playoff spot. Who really knows? Um, I am going to give them 2-4, however, in that stretch. I do think the Carolina Panthers are going to be watchable football. I think they're going to be a really good, like they're going to be a good bad team. You know what I mean? Like they're going to be a good team. I just
Mm.
think that there's some really tough games in all of these stretches. I have them beating the Vikings, beating the Bengals, but I have them losing to the Saints, Steelers, Seahawks, and Falcons. 2-4, which would make them 7-10.
Okay. I have them winning 3 of the going 500 here. So 3 out of 6. I have them winning the Saints game and the Bengals game, and also finishing with a win against the Falcons, because of the split. So that would have them 9-8 on
Okay.
my schedule.
Okay. So you're going over plus 110. I'm going slightly under. I do see a world where things are different here. Like I can see them
Same.
sweeping I can see them sweeping the Falcons. Um the Bucks I think are a fascinating conversation. We're going to talk about them in a few minutes. Um could they beat the Steelers there? The Seahawks might have nothing to play for week 17. There's certainly a world where this 7-10 turns into a 9-8. Absolutely. Like Jordan said, could be 6-11, could be 9-8. Um, but that's how I see it
A little bit of
for
a breaking. About an hour ago, they just picked up Darren Waller, and
Oh.
brought him into that tight end room. And looking at that roster at tight ends, I can easily see them putting him right in the starter spot at tight end. And
Yes.
he had a little bit of a nifty season for the Dolphins last year, which I personally think would have been great for the Giants when we had him. But
Yes.
it is what it is. You know what? Go for it. Um, I think he's finally ready to give up that rap career and get back to some football. So
Yeah, I mean, listen, like Darren Waller, literally as you said that, Jordan typed the same thing, which is hilarious. But I it's a sexy name. You're right. That's something we didn't talk about. That tight end room is thin, thin. They needed it.
I agree.
I don't trust it. Like, who is this guy? What wallet are we getting? I don't know. I have no idea. Um, Retired, unretired. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But hey, it's certainly better than what they what they had. So we'll see what happens. All right, moving on. New Orleans Saints, Jordan's team. 6-11 last season. The over under 7.5. Minus 125 for the over, which I find interesting. Plus 105 for the under. Plus 900, or sorry, plus 9,000 to win the Super Bowl. Plus 4,500 to win the conference. Plus 4,000 to get the 1 seed. Plus 260, which again is a sexy number um, to win the division. Um, I like ETN. Shook, Olave. Uh, this has the potential to be one of the better O lines in the league. I think 4 to 5 guys on that spot are it's fairly deep line.
Hmm.
Um, they added Fant, um, a tight end, which I like that pickup. I think. Listen, Shook is the sexy name right now, right? Had a very fun year last year, unexpected year last year to most. Fun for sure. The odds of him doing that again, what are they really? I don't know. Who
Hmm.
knows? But with the pieces that they have around him, the O line that they have surrounded him with, I like it. I think it's a good position for the kid to kind of do it again and see if you can. There are worse situations to be in than New Orleans. Um, I like what Staley did with the defense last year. Which again is another one of those coordinators, crashed and burned as a head coach, still good at what he does. Um, Not a deep defense, but a solid defense.
Mm.
Obviously Chase Young is there. The D line is a little concerning to me. So defensively, kind of what are they going to be? Cam Jordan's back. I don't know what that means. Um, but overall, like this is not going to be a bad team. I'm curious to see where we go with the schedule. Um, but I think they did a good. Obviously, these guys aren't Super Bowl contenders, but I think they did a good job in kind of building a roster where they can actually see what they have. You know, like guys like Cam Ward. Like, I even though we talked about the Titans, like, do you really know what you have with him with that roster? Right? Anyone that plays for the Jets. Like there's rosters like the Dolphins,
Yeah.
right? Like there's teams that you can't actually really know what you have because you've surrounded him with nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not this situation.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Listen, what I like about them is that they do have the young quarterback. Charlie Shook finished the season actually really super strong. Saints won some games that they weren't expecting, that the public weren't expecting them to win heading into the end of the season. So can he feed off of that? Expectations probably low from the outside, but at the same token, opportunity for young players to develop. It is obviously a rebuilding roster. But I do like where they're headed as far as their coaching. I think they married their coaching to the young quarterback that they have, which is definitely very important for his development and why I think towards the end of the season we saw some improvement. Now, biggest concern for me, depth and injuries. They're already heading into the season with some people nicked up. So that's not the way you want to start it. Chris
No.
Olave, little bit of a history with the injury and the concussions. Let's hope for a healthy season from him. I do also agree that this could be one of the better lines in football, and you've got two running backs who could really tote the rock in Travis Etienne and Alvin Kamara. Now, Alvin may not be, the fantasy darling he was when he came into the league, but in spurts, in the role that we're going to see him in as more of a number two than the bell cow, I think he could be very, very good. And we'll see what that turns into. I think this is going to be a frisky team as far as the season's concerned.
Jordan, don't trust the coaching and the offense. Like it's a gut feeling for me. I get that. And I mean, like ball, there's no doubt about it. You know more than me. I'm almost certain of it. But I don't know. Call it a gut feeling for me as well. All right. Moving on to the schedule. Been going for almost 2 hours here, and the number keeps growing on Twitter. So thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate it very, very much. We're still warming up here, second or third episode of the season for us, and looking forward to another season doing the show together. Um, I do think in Detroit is a tough spot. What did I have them? I'll check after, but I'll just write that down for now. Um, I I have them starting the season pretty solidly here. Um, they are in Detroit, in Baltimore, home to the Raiders, home to the Falcons, home to the Vikings, in New York to take on the Giants. First 6 games of the season, I have them going 4-2 for now. I'll see what I had them against the Ravens here, but I have them 4-2. What do you have?
I have them 3-3. I think they start off with a win at the Lions. Crazy, but just call it a gut feeling. I think the young quarterback is going to be locked in. I feel like this is a Lions team that has a lot of question marks as far as their O line is concerned. I think
True.
if they can keep the game close, keep that offense off the field, you've got two very capable running backs and probably one of the top 10 O lines in the league, I think. If all healthy, I think you can control the clock and try to steal one there in Detroit. So 3-3 heading into the Steelers game for me.
So looking back at my predictions for the Ravens, I do have them 3-3 as well. I have them losing to Detroit, losing to Baltimore, winning the next three, and I think the Giants can pull out that win at home. Um, I should have just done it right to Pittsburgh. There's a bye in week 8, but whatever. Home to the Steelers, bye in week 8. Home to the Browns, home to the Panthers. Um, Steelers week 7 at home, Browns at home week 9, Panthers at home week 10, in Chicago, in Cincinnati weeks 11 and 12. And I have them going 3-2 here.
I am 2-3 here.
Okay.
I have them winning those first two. The win against the Steelers, then 2 weeks to prepare for a Browns team that will probably have a decision to make at quarterback themselves, if they haven't made it already. And then I have them losing 3 in a row. Panthers, Bears, and Bengals. I think honestly, this stretch all the way up to the Bucks is a pretty tough stretch for the
It
Saints
is
here.
tough. It is tough. They're home to the Packers week 13. They are in Carolina week 14. The Bucks in Tampa Bay week 15, home to Arizona, in Atlanta, and then home to the Bucks. I can't remember which Bucks games I had them losing, but I split it, so it doesn't really matter. We will say 2-4 to finish the stretch, putting them at 8-9 on the season.
I also have them 2-4. I have them winning against the Cardinals and winning the last game against the Bucks. Um, I just think that stretch from the Panthers game to the Buccaneers, I had them losing all those games. But I do see a world where the divisional games may be a little bit friskier.
Agreed.
So couple of wins there. I could see a world where they're 9-8. I can definitely see a world where they're 9-8.
I agree. And I do think, listen, I don't know. I'm not a Saints fan. I got a couple Saints fans in my life. I'd be curious to know their opinion. I think if they go 8-9, 2 wins better, I think that's a good season. And I think that if you're 8-9, you kind of know what you have, right?
Yeah.
Building toward the future, right? So
Yeah.
I don't mind it at all. All right, let's wrap up the show. Tampa Bay Bucks, a very fascinating team that we could spend a lot of time on. We won't. Or maybe we will. Who knows? 8.5 is the total. They were 8-9 last year, plus 120 for the over, which I find interesting. Minus 145 for the under. Plus 5,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 2,500 to win the conference, plus 2,500 to get the 1 seed, plus 180 to win the division. They are favored. Couple notes that I have here. I don't have a lot on the defensive side. I don't have anything actually on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, David retiring. Still, they don't really know what his status is. At least I don't. Maybe I don't know if you've heard something. Couple notes here. I love Mayfield betting on himself. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think this is a fascinating situation. I love it. Evans is gone. That sucks. Let's make no bones about it. Healthy, not healthy, gets 1,000 yards every year, scores a touchdown every game, Mr. Reliable. That's a
Mhm.
big loss. I like Goodwin if he can stay healthy, or Godwin if he can stay healthy. I like Ibuka if he can stay healthy. O line um, is decent. I have it 3 out of 5. Um, are strong there. I love the backfield of Irving and Gainwell. If I mean Gainwell will be healthy. He is also Mr. Reliable. He's not really worked hard enough to not be healthy, but he is consistent in that regard.
Yeah.
Um, Irving needs to stay healthy, right? Uh, so I I I like the offense. I just think you're relying a lot on health, and not just on the receivers, not just on Irving, but most importantly is your quarterback that cannot, like, not putting your body at risk does not mean that you're not giving it 100%. Like, it's okay to not risk your body, especially when you're already banged up. I just don't. That's the part of this that really, really concerns me, is that Baker cannot help himself. He will be hurt by week 12, and he will keep playing, and he will hurt himself even more. And that concerns me with this guy. And I think that's why he's a career 500 quarterback. And that's why I have a hard time seeing him ever getting over the hump, is that he doesn't know. At least I'm making very bold proclamations here, but it feels like he doesn't know how to adjust his game to protect himself. And that concerns me heading into the season.
Listen, I've there are more sure things I'm sure of, but one thing is that when Baker Mayfield has a chip on his shoulder, oh, it's going to be exciting to watch. And
That's
the
true.
fact that
That's 100%.
the fact that that money thing got public, not a lot of people loved it. I told you on this show that I didn't think he said anything that was out of bounds. Me personally, even if the Bucks didn't love it, I'll say that um, he was very gracious in that, this team gave him an opportunity after, his stint, with Carolina, with LA. Um, he was very gracious about that opportunity and said so, but also feels like he has reestablished what he feels like his value should be based on his play since he's been with the Bucks. And I guess the monetary value that they were coming with, or at least the terms of the agreement, were not in line with what he thought. And you know what? That's his prerogative to feel that way. And I didn't think there was anything he did that was out of bounds. Now, as far as the team's concerned, that's not the only person that's pissed off. Vita Vea is also pissed off. And there's one thing that you don't really want heading into the season, and that's the captain on both sides of the ball being pissed off at the franchise for not wanting to pay them. Okay.
Yes.
I feel like
Yes.
that's bad juju heading into what could be a very important season in this franchise as far as how they are moving forward. Very quickly, this is what I like about them. I think they have veteran experience on this team. I think they, even on the defensive side of the ball, yeah, you lose a Levante David, but you did pick up Alex Anzalone, who I'm a big fan of. I think you have established defensive pieces in Antoine Winfield. Vita Vea is still there, even pissed off. That maybe help his edge a little bit, even if I think the juju might be a little off heading into it. I think they have the most recent more recent playoff experience as opposed to the rest of the teams in this division, which is always an edge in the sense that they know how to play close games. They know how to win games that they need to get into the postseason. For me, I think it's going to come into the offense. it regressed, it looked like last season, and they are going to need to prove that that regression was an aberration and not a sign of things to come. Players under the microscope, Baker Mayfield. I mean, this could become one of the most important seasons of his career, um, based on where he is, years wise in the league, and also with this team. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. So let's get to the schedule.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. First 6 weeks in Cincinnati, home to the Browns, Vikings, and Raiders. Packers. Browns, Vikings, Packers. In Dallas, take on the Cowboys, home to the Steelers. I have them 3-3 here.
I actually have them starting hot. I have them 5-1 in this stretch, with the one loss being to the Cowboys, because for some reason, every time Baker goes there or plays against them, it just stuff happens.
I have them losing there too. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Moving on. I already forget which games I split or whatever, but it doesn't matter. In Carolina, home to the Falcons. In Chicago, by week 10. In Detroit for week 11. Panthers, week 12. I have them going 2-3 here. I think. I'll check the Lions. I'll check the other schedules while you're going on, but I think I have them 2-3 here.
Okay. I have them 3-2 here. I have them losing on the road to the Lions, even with the 2 weeks to prepare. And I have them losing on the road to the Panthers. I think they split that. I think they're going to lose the road game, win the home game. So at this stage of the season, I have them 8-3.
Okay. I have them 5-6. All right. Week 13 to the end. They're home against the Chargers, in Baltimore, home to the Saints, in Atlanta, home to the Rams, home to the Saints. They're not home to the Saints twice. I forget which one was on the road there. The last one?
The first one. The first one's at home, and the last one's on the road.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, home to the Chargers, in Baltimore, home to New Orleans, in Atlanta, home to the Rams, and on the road against the Saints. I have them. That Rams game is going to be interesting because we don't know what it's going to mean for the Rams. I think they're going to be incredible this year. I'll mark it as an L in theory, but it could be a win. I have them going. Man, I have them going 1-5 this stretch.
Yes.
I didn't realize I was so down on the Bucks.
Yes. I also have them 1-5.
Yeah.
This is usually around the point in the season where the rails fall off somehow. Either the defense underperforms under Todd Bowles, or Baker's nursing some kind of injury where he's not playing at 100% and it's limiting his mobility in the pocket. They lose close games that maybe were in their grasp, but then the other team takes advantage of some opportunity that the Bucks gave them. This is always the point in the season. Listen, first 10 games, Baker Mayfield, MVP candidate last year. He gets hurt and the rails fall off and they're fighting for their life in the playoffs towards the end of the season. I feel like that's just the story of this team somehow. And they find themselves in a 9-8 tie with the Panthers again.
Yeah. I didn't realize. I knew that I wasn't as high on them as I have been, just because I just think that the Panthers and the Saints, the Panthers They were better last year, but let's all be real about this. Nobody thought they were going to do what they did last year, the Panthers.
No, that's agreed.
And the Saints, while they were 6-11, they showed promise throughout the season.
I think
And so
you could check me on this, but I think they won like their last 4 games in a row. They went on a stretch at the end of the season where it was like, oh wait, this team, and that's kind of part of the reason why they think, or at least what I've seen, the Saints might be frisky this season was because kind of like how they finished last season.
yeah, 100%, 100%. So that's it. NFC, AFC South. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us as always. Next week, I am on vacation. For the first time in a very long time, my wife and I will be able to get away. And we will be taking the kids with us. I don't need to tell anybody any of that information, but I will anyway. So I'm gone. I'm out of here, taking the week off. There will be a couple articles coming out early in the week for you hockey fans out there who follow my work. I appreciate you. But other than that, we will be off next week and we'll be picking back up the week after, covering one of the, I don't know, West, East, I have no idea. But regardless, next week we'll be off and we'll be back the following week. Remind everybody, first round collectibles, promo code SPORTS10, 10% off your order, sales and regular priced items. Also, Total Apex Sports, daily fantasy, daily news, regular fantasy, betting advice. They have you covered. Every sport, every genre, anything you need, they have you covered. Joe, so good seeing you, man. This has been a lot of
Absolutely.
fun. A lot of fun getting back in the groove. We'll be off next week, but we'll be back the week after, wrapping up the division previews. Football's almost here. We will see you next time.